There was a time where I lived in such chaos and such disruption, and where it was constantly bickering, constantly fighting, that I actually got to a point where they told me that I was bipolar, and like I would lose it in a drop of a hat. And because it was so dysfunctional in the environment that I was in, that you get to the point where you become dysfunctional. And after I left that situation and I learned about the peace that could happen, I didn't have all of the drama and all the chaos in my life anymore. It took me a while to adjust to that because I was like, this is surreal. Like, is this real? Can it really be this peaceful? And I got used to that. And then I went back to therapy and found that my bipolar disorder that they had told me I had was situational. The person that was the person that I was clashing with was causing me to have situational bipolar. I didn't even know there was such a thing. But I don't have those outbursts like that anymore unless I'm extremely pushed to a point. And so I try to keep my life very peaceful. I try to keep my life without drama, without fighting, without bickering, and I like it that way. I like a very peaceful life. I don't even listen to a lot of TV because of that. It got to the point where I seek solitude a lot because I can, if I go out and I'm among people too much for too long and, larger groups, it's a little chaotic for me. I have to go and seek refuge. I have to go and seek solitude. And so I go back and sit in my solitude with God, and God gets me back to balance, gets me back to calmness where I need to be. And I like calmness. I like the peace that goes with calmness. And I don't want to trade it for anything. So if a person comes into my life and they are not adding to my peace, but adding to disruption, I'm going to push that person out of my life. I'm not going to keep that person in my life because I crave peace and solitude. I crave the calmness. I cannot handle the chaotic anymore. It's not good for you to be in situations like that where you're dealing with chaotic situations. It's not good for you to be constantly argumentative and fighting. And some people bring out that in you. And it's one thing to be playful and argumentative. It's one thing to be playful. Like, that's one thing. But to literally go out of your way to destroy someone's peace, that's not good. That is not good at all. As a matter of fact, it's very bad for you. So I've gotten to where if a person is not adding to my life, like instead of just subtracting from my life, if they're subtracting my peace, if they're subtracting my growth, if they're subtracting my calmness instead of adding to me, then I have to sit back and say, okay, does this person really belong into my life? Do they belong sitting at my table? Do they belong in my life? A person will strive where they feel comfortable. A person will strive where they feel calmness, where they feel appreciated, where they feel like they can be themselves. And if you're constantly put on eggshells, and if you're constantly provoked to fight, if you're constantly provoked by meanness, that's not somebody you really want in your life. And, you know, growing up, there was a lot of chaos and disruption in my life. So I always just figured that's how things were. And then I learned many, many years later that there is such thing as living calmly. There is such thing as living in peace. And there is such thing as adding to instead of subtracting to. If the people around you are not helping you grow, if they are not helping you to advance in life, be a better person, if they are not adding to your peace and your calmness, then you have to ask yourself, do I really want that person in my life? If they really wanted to be in your life, they would really try to keep you calm. They would try to be your peace, right? I've had situations where I've gotten involved with people who tend to provoke me. And I don't know if it was to be hateful or if it was just their personality. But I need peace. And I need someone to add to my situation, not subtract from my situation. And since I have found God, I have learned how to add peace to my life. I've learned how to add calmness to my life. I have learned how to live a life where I can be productive and have fun and still enjoy life and not have all the chaos. There's such a thing as laughing and having fun without the chaos. And there's a lot of people who believe that if they antagonize you, if they argue with you, if they put you down in these jokingly ways, which really aren't jokes, they're hurtful. But but it's a joke. No, it's not a joke. But a lot, we let people get by with doing that because honestly, they're doing it because they feel bad about themselves. But I have found that I've done this in my relationships before, that I have allowed things that didn't bring me calmness, that didn't bring me peace, that didn't bring me the feeling of being okay, being safe. If I don't feel safe in that situation, it's better to walk away. It's better to get distance from that situation, because if they don't want to bring peace, then it's not worth it. Don't put your peace at risk because you think that's all there is out there, because that's not all there is out there. There are people out there who know how to bring peace to your life. There are people out there who know how to bring calmness and to add to your life and to grow with you and to encourage you to be more productive and to be a better person. And you don't have to settle for someone who would prefer to disrupt your life. I have been struggling with relationships, and I don't have a lot of people in my life, honestly, because I don't deal well with the disruption. I don't deal well with the chaos. But I'm learning to adjust. I'm learning just to be calm, to be okay. I'm safe with God. And I don't really need someone in my life. I would like someone in my life, but I want it on my terms. I want it to bring me peace. I want it to bring me love, make me feel safe, not make me want to fight. Hallelujah. Anyway, if you're going through the same thing, I hope this helps you. Stay grounded with God.